What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So I'm back with my post-fight Sergey Kovalev versus Cedric Agnew. And I will tell you this. I think Sergey Kovalev is the real deal. Now, I've been saying this for a while, and he's just constantly showing improving. And there's some things that he did in there that I really like today, and I'll get into that in this video. Before I get into Kovalev, what he did right, I will say a lot of times you get boxing and you get a guy like who's little known or little known to the public, like a Josito Lopez, and they have a good showing. Whether they win or lose, they show heart, they show they're a warrior, and I give that to Cedric Agnew. I didn't really know much about him. There's not much footage on him just floating around the tube. I did see a couple fights of his. Well, he's not a household name, and oftentimes those are the most dangerous guys because there's little evidence, and by evidence I mean like video surfacing on the net or whatever. So what do you study? Like, how do you study tapes? How does your trainer come up with a valid game plan to defeat someone like that when you don't really know much about them? It's kind of like a blind date. I mean, either the bitch is gonna look good or she's gonna look hurt. Yeah, it's seldom in between. So that's kind of what it's like dealing with a fighter that you have little data on, which is good. It's a good test for Sergey Kovalev because he has to kind of be Johnny on the spot and figure out a game plan that's going to be effective right then and there without a thorough background check into this dude. So I give props to Agnew. I would definitely watch him again. Not that he had this tremendous performance. I think he lost every round, but just because he showed heart, and he actually went longer than other people who, like Ishmael Salak, who I thought was going to be a good test for Kovalev. I still had Kovalev beating Salak, which ultimately happened, but I mean, he got knocked out in the second round, and Agnew at least tried some different things and backed up Kovalev, even if it was only in spots. So I give props to fighters like that for, I mean, you're 1,000,001 underdog, and you at least show heart and you show that you didn't come to lose. He was undefeated, doesn't really have that many bodies on his resume that really resonate with the boxing public, but he showed me that he didn't come out there just to get his ass beat and collect a paycheck. He looked like he tried, but Kovalev's power and everything was just too much. Now, to Sergey Kovalev's credit, what I liked in there is I love when I get to see a fighter have to decode a puzzle. I was actually proud of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. when he fought Andy Lee, because Andy Lee fought tall for the first round or two, and it was more of a puzzle for Chavez Jr. He wasn't just there to bang. He was looking good. Andy Lee looked good early in that fight, and Chavez Jr. had to come up with a game plan to decode what Andy Lee was presenting, and ultimately Chavez Jr. was able to do it just like Kovalev was able to do in his fight with Agnew, but it was a different puzzle for him. It wasn't a guy who's just so prideful, he's just going to exchange. Agnew had a really high guard, and I mean, even though Kovalev was just a monster, really. He was punching, and you could tell that his punches have, I mean, there was even some punches where I heard a thud, and the dude, Agnew, had a guard, like a really high guard, tight guard, and Kovalev was literally punching through the guard, and some of his punch, if not most of it, was getting through on some of those shots. So that's one thing I like about Kovalev. No matter what type of defense Agnew presented, he was still aggressive and he was still picking his shots. He had like this sweeping right hand that he was landing. He was punching around the guard. He was trying to punch through the guard. He was successful at points, but he was staying busy. He was staying active, which is a sign of good conditioning. It didn't look like he punched himself out, which is what I like to see. Another thing that I love seeing about Kovalev today was he battled some level of adversity. Two things. One, when you're a power puncher and your power is not working, what else do you have? You know what I'm saying? And like Lucas Matisse, I thought he would have a better showing against Danny Garcia, even though I predicted Garcia to beat him. But sometimes these guys fall in love with their power, and when other people aren't able to withstand that, then they get frustrated. Like, damn, like I'm hitting them with some like haymakers. I'm hitting them with my best shots. So it could be like kind of disenchanting to a fighter who is used to knocking people out in the first round, second round, or third round. And I love to see their reaction when they're not able to do that. What do you do? Keith Thurman, another perfect example of this. When he fought Jan Zivic, he was forced to go the distance with the fighter when you're known for being a power puncher, you're known as one time, and you try to stay true to that. So I need to see these fighters with power in that position, like a Gennady Golovkin. I need to see, definitely need to see Deontay Wilder's fucking ass in this position. What do you do when your power is not enough to just chop down the tree off of one shot? You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, a very dominant performance by Kovalev. I just like how he's mixing up his punches. His punch variation was good. And he started ripping to the body because he understood that Agnew's guard being that high, he needed to do something else. And ultimately, that's what Kovalev did. And he feinted, and it looked like he was committing, and he's like, ah. And then he just dug to the body. And that was what unfolded Agnew's guard and caught him off guard, because you got to understand with these feints, if you feint good and you're already a power puncher, people bite down, and the minute they commit to blocking the punch that's not coming, that's when you go somewhere they didn't expect it. And those are always the shots that hurt the most, the ones you don't see coming. And that's what happened, that body shot and just overall attrition. See, Agnew, I could tell he wasn't going to win that fight even before this fight. But during the fight, I could see he wasn't going to win, because even though he was showing heart and a good defense, Kovalev's punching. He's punching through your guard, punching around your guard, trying to get you to open up, trying to set up traps, trying to get you to commit to something, trying to catch you. And he had some knockdowns. The second one was bullshit. I don't really think it was a knockdown. He wasn't trapped or held up by the ropes. He kind of squatted down. Not saying he wouldn't have gotten knocked down, but it just didn't. He already had every round lost. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have a false knockdown counted as a knockdown, stacking the deck even more against him. And I didn't see his knee or glove touch the canvas, so I don't think the second time was a knockdown. But the third time was a permanent knockdown. So it's good. Like I said, I like to see Kovalev mix up his punches, which he was doing. He didn't punch himself out. He looks more to me like a smart fighter with this monstrous power versus a guy who just has power and he's just trying to take your head off with one punch, and that's it. And he actually got hit with a couple good shots on the counter. And for a brief second, Agnew, in one of the rounds, I don't remember, but he was flicking out this jab, which was disrupting what Kovalev was doing. So it's good to see him battle that adversity. The second adversity that Kovalev battled was the cuts. There was an accidental headbutt that occurred, and he was bleeding. He was bleeding his eye. I could tell it was bothering him because he was blinking like repeatedly. And again, I like to see how fighters respond. Pacquiao didn't respond too well when he got cut in the Eric Morales fight. What do you do, especially when you're a guy like Kovalev, used to knocking out your guys in the first 2-3 rounds, and you're not able to do it? Plus, you're actually bleeding, even though it's not blood from a punch. It's still your blood nonetheless, and it could be kind of bothersome. So I think Kovalev showed a lot. He showed that he's not just a club fighter and just destroying people with his power. I think he's smart. So it really pisses me off and infuriates me that this Adonis Stevenson fight is not next in line. I mean, this is a fight that needs to happen at light heavy. We need to see who the fuck the main person is. And Kovalev is looking like that dude. He's just looking like he's a problem. But I would want to see it because Adonis Stevenson, to me, he's more of a slicker fighter. He showed that in the Tavoris Cloud fight. And he's faster, in my opinion, than Kovalev. So I really want to see how this would unfold because we all have predictions. But they both have power. So it would be a really interesting fight to see how Kovalev deals with someone who also has power, who might be able to outwit him at moments and has more speed and just overall, I guess, rhythm. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of black fighters have. They're very rhythmic. You know what I'm saying? Where they're fluid and they can move, and I would want to see how Kovalev deals with that. At the moment, I would put my money on Kovalev though. That's just my personal opinion. So let me know what you guys think. They're both on Twitter talking crazy. After the fight, Kovalev was asked by Max Kellerman what he thought about Adonis Stevens, and he was like, "Really, I don't want to speak about Adonis. He's a piece of shit to me, really, piece of shit for me." I thought that was hilarious when he said that. So I just hate this promotional network, Cold War, all this bullshit, man. Because I want to see the best fighting the best. I want to see good fights. I want to see the fights that make sense. This would really be a marquee fight. It's sellable. Like, there's no doubt about it. Kovalev versus Stevenson would do numbers, especially if it happens somewhere in like Canada. Can Kovalev do the Orlando Salido and go to his opponent, Juanma Lopez, hometown Puerto Rico, and defeat him? And the trip about it is, I think Kovalev is just a warrior, so I don't think he would even hesitate fighting him in Canada. I think he just wants to get Adonis Stevenson in the ring. He said that after the fight. He's like, I don't care. I just want to fight the best, and that's it. So he seems like more of a throwback vintage fighter in that regard. Not like, oh, I want to fight the safest fight with the best money or whatever. He wants to fight whoever the fuck you put in front of him to prove his worth. And these Russians, I'm telling you, I'm not trying to stereotype, but these Russians are fucking vicious and they're tough. Ruslan Provodnikov never stopped. Sergey Kovalev not stopped, and he has this power. Ruslan has this monstrous power. It's a problem, you know what I'm saying? So they're making the Rocky 4 movie look like some reality, some Ivan Drago shit. So I'm anxious to see what happens next for Kovalev. Maybe a Jean Pascal fight. Not really that many great opportunities. I mean, unless he fights like Andre Ward, if Andre Ward comes up, but I haven't really heard much from Ward, so I don't know. We'll see. Unless they make the Donna Stevenson, and I just hate this promotional bullshit to the point where people talk shit on Twitter, like Donna Stevenson saying that Kovalev is a whack ass fighter and he's slow and he sucks basically. But it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? It's easy to say that behind a computer or whatever. I want to see them in the ring, point blank, period. I don't care who wins. I don't have no personal ties. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see a good fight. And I think those two could provide that. And it just sucks that, like, people, you know what I mean? People get bold and stuff when they're behind. Like, you talking to somebody who's locked up in jail, you talk all the shit you want. They're locked up. What the fuck are you going to do? But when they get out and you see them face to face, then what are you going to do? So, as far as this, I'm an old soul, you know what I mean? I'm cut from the cloth of, like, growing up, we didn't have MySpace and Twitter and Facebook and all this shit. So a lot of the shit was more old fashioned. You didn't really, you know what I mean? You could text somebody or page them, not like, let me talk shit on Twitter, you know what I mean? Or talk shit with security. I'm just cut from the throwback era where it was just like, if you wanted to get it on and popping, you get it on and popping, not let me type 140 characters on Twitter talking shit. That's just not me. So let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video's Ego signing off.